I want to show you some of the nice features that Star Trax has. And I have a chart on the screen right now. First of all, let's look at all the predictive techniques that we can deal with. If I click on this, and I click down, these are the techniques that I use here: transit, backward transit, progression, progression converse, tertiary minor, and then perfection, solar arc, and solar arc converse. And then the next two here is something that I don't know if anybody does it, but we do it. Because it's called Neighbor direction for a day and Neighbor direction for a day converse. I use that every day. When I put my computer on, I want to go and do that because we advance all the planets in the chart, including the midheaven and the ascendant, 59 minutes, 8 seconds for each day of your life. All right. So it's like we divide 360 a full circle by 365.25 days, and we come up with that. And to me, it's amazing what you can get. So I do it in the morning. I watch the stuff that's going on. I can say, okay, here's my day. I got Mars maybe squaring Mercury, or my ascendant say, well, I have to be careful. I got Jupiter making a good aspect to Venus or Mercury. This is a day to communicate. So this is the way, and I look at both converse and direct. All right. But in our software, we have 62 different type of prediction that we can do. Here we go. We have, all of these: progress 31 days, progress 1 year equals 31 days, converse, diurnal, moon rising, sun culminating, sun rising, and then we do return locally, Mercury, all that stuff. So we're really, perfection and solar arc. So, but you can pick it. All you have to do is put a check mark in front of it to the planet you want to use, the aspect you want to use, the orb that you want to use. All right. And so this is something that you know people asked to put it in the program, so we did. All right. But a lot of that stuff, I use it once in a while, like maybe a solar return, Venus return, and all. But this is what I use as an astrologer, and the one that I have in here. But the nice part about this is that, okay, I got a chart up on the screen right now, right? And I'm doing some work. Let's say I'm doing some work with this client. Then what I can do is this. I can go into transit. All right, transit. Where are you? Right here. Okay, so we know here that, when I first start working with a client with your update, I always want to look at the big picture: where Uranus is, where Saturn is, what kind of the thing that Saturn is going to do, before I get into the time tunnel, like I explained into another video, the time tunnel, and how I can zero in on certain days and of the year where I call potholes, or things where you can fly. All right, so here I'm looking at this chart here, and I'm saying, gee, Saturn's going to come and hit the ascendant sometimes soon. All right, so if I take Saturn right here, all right, and I hold my mouse down, and I slide right on the ascendant, you can see Saturn peak conjunct ascendant. Let it go. And it said January 29, 2008, Saturn's going to be on the ascendant. I click back here on transit, puts back to the days. Now, I want to know when Saturn's going to conjunct the Venus. I just grab Saturn, move it right on Venus right here, and there it is. And now on January 17th, 2019, Saturn's going to conjunct Venus. All right. So I can do anything I want with this. I can actually say when Mars is going to hit the midheaven, and I move it up there, say Mars on the midheaven, it tells me November 27, 2017. All right. So I can also do that in progression. All right. So in other words, if I can do that in backward transit, I can do that in any of the prediction. If you have 62 different prediction technique here, you could do that with every one of them. But if I put into progress, right? Now, I look at this and I say, okay, Uranus is on the midheaven. When is Uranus really conjuncting the midheaven? I just move it up there. Uranus conjunct the midheaven, August 12, 2231. Well, I think this guy's going to be really old when this thing happened. But look at this. The moon is at 29 Aries 55 right here. All right. Now, I want to know when that moon moves into Taurus. So I just grab the moon and I move it up 2 degrees of Taurus. There, it says moon at 0 in Taurus. Let it go. And on November 10, 2017, the moon is going to be moving into Taurus. So this is a fast way of getting the answers for certain things, all right? So besides that, let's say that I go into solar arcs. Right here, I'm into solar arcs, and here I have this person's got a solar arc. Solar arc Mercury is going to sextile Venus. Well, you could say, well, when's that going to happen? But all you got to do is to double click on this. All right. And there it is. It says that on November 20th, 2017 at 12:52:07 in the morning, and it's a Monday, all right, it's going to happen. So you could do that with anything. You could do that with when the moon sextile the ascendant, double click on it, and there it is. It's May 6th at 2018. It gives you the time, and it's on a Sunday. So, this is one thing that is really, really beautiful when you're dealing with a client. You want to know what's going on here and what's going on there, and you can make this happen on anything. All right. So that's one thing of that you can get answered. Another thing, let's go back into transit right here. Transit. And sometimes you see, Uranus here is retrograde, and how far is it going to go? Is it going to hit the 22 here? But if I double click on Uranus, just double click on any planets in the chart, bang. And there it is. It tells me that Uranus will go from retrograde to direct on January 2nd, 2018. It's going to go into Taurus at May 15, 2018. It's going to go back retrograded on 8/07. And I can say, well, I want to know the whole story of Taurus 4 or 5 years down the road or before. So I can change to 2013. All right, so that's 4 years. Now I can see the whole thing of Uranus. All right, here it is, retrograde to direct at December 17, 2013, and I can have a whole list of it. All right, so this is one thing that this piece of software is very intelligent. Also, when I'm in here, I'm looking at a chart. And I say, oh God, all right, the moon is here. Click on the moon. It tells me here that the moon sextile the part of fortune, the moon trines Jupiter. That's in this chart. The moon trines Jupiter. And it's red. So if it's red, means it's applying. Look at the moon square Mars, all right, 3 degrees, it's separating. And if we look at it and find Mars is here, 18, yeah, it is separating. So I can go into the ascendant and say, okay, what kind of aspect it conjuncts Venus, all right, and it squares Pluto. So I can really quick Uranus, and Uranus conjunct the midheaven, it squares Jupiter, sextile Mars, and also a square Venus. And it tells me the orb, and if it's blue, it's separating, and if it's red, it's applying. So these are all things that you can work with, and I mean, for any predictive techniques, you can move things around. If you for instance, here it is. I can say, okay, Mercury's going to conjunct Pluto, sextile Pluto. There, it tells me the day when this is going to happen. So I can do that with any predictive techniques that I have here. So that's the beauty of being able to sit down at your computer dealing with a client. I designed this because I take care of about 16 business. All right. And they've been with me since the 70s. And 11 of these 16 business are huge. I'm not going to tell you who they are because I'm sure they don't want anybody to know that they use an astrologer. But some of them have an office pretty well in every country or has a store and a thing. So when they want to know something, I need this software. Well, I want to do this, I want to do that. Then I can, find out what transit, and I can find out solar arc. I can find out everything and move things around and keep dates. Of course, we have other software that does electional and stuff like that, which I use a lot with businesses because they always want to do this and they always want the best time, even to make a phone calls to do this, to close a store, to open up another one, to move location. I do all that with Horary and electional, which we have one of the best electional software there is, and it's on YouTube. You can go look at it. It's called Father Time. Now, there's a lot of stuff that we can do here. I'm going to go back to the natal chart, but let's see this Jojo here. We want to know, for instance, he calls me and he wants to travel. All right. So when is the best time to travel? Well, you could look at his chart and do transits and back and forth and spend an hour. Of course, we have a thing called the right decision, where you can do things, people that travel at the snap of a finger. But this is Star Trek. I'm talking about Star Trek. I will have videos for the right decision. I don't know if on YouTube, but I will have some. So keep track of our videos here. But let's see, for instance, that he wants to travel. All right. I can go into techniques. These are all the technique stuff that we can do. I can go to dynamic astrology, black box. All right. And I'm going to give it a beginning date, which is now. Okay. And I'm going to give it, let's see, he wants to travel. Yeah, March something. He wants to travel. All right. Somewhere. So now I got beginning date and ending date. I can click on this little icon right here, little folder, and bring a chart up. I mean, an artificial intelligence up. So, we have some for every house. I have more than here because I experimental with a lot of stuff. But the program comes with 12 different models for each house. Each houses. So a career, we know what career is. That's 10th house. We can go down here. We know home, 4th house, friends, 11th house, chatter, 3rd house, enemies, 12th house. Love, 5th house, money, 2nd house, partners, 7th house. So we have some for everything. Sex, of course, that's 8th house, but it's also if you want to borrow money, loan or things like that. Maybe this is not done right, but I put the 9th house as believe. All right. And that's the 9th house because it's the belief system, it's a religion, it's faith, it's believing, and it's also long distance travel. So I'm going to click on it and say open. All right. And I'm going to calculate it. So now it's going to give me there's a model there that takes care of everything in regarding the 8th house, ruler of the 8th house, traveling stuff. Okay, so you can see that here, the 0 line here is the mean aspect that happens for him throughout this period. And we know right here, if we move it right here into the crosshair right here, all right, and we look at the lower left part of the screen, it says 127 to 18. You don't want to travel there. But here, anything above the line, you can travel. This is not a bad time to travel right here. It's not a bad time to travel here, but it's a good time right here. Of course, the best time to travel, if you're just going for a weekend, that would be around here, and it's on a weekend. It's March 5th. Something. So you can look at it. This could be anything. It could be, all right, I want to borrow money. And like I said to you, borrow money. I want to go to the bank and borrow money. And we know that maybe this is not right, but sex is 8th house, and that's also loan. So we'll go sex. We'll have sex and have a loan. And I'm going to calculate this. And now it's going to tell me when JoJo can go out and borrow money. Now, here's a good time here. The best time would be here. That would be in January. But over here, this is not a bad time here. This is not a bad time. If I click on it, just click the mouse, all right? It tells me right here that the sun sextile, a planet in the 8th. And here the sun, ruler of the 8th house, does some aspect. And if you really want to see this, we can move this up here and you can see the whole thing. All right. So again, this is something that to help client. And, I do a lot of client and I'm booked up. I've been booked up a year in advance since the 70s. All right. I've been a full-time astrologer since 1965. And if you're one of my client and you come for a reading or do a reading on the phone or on Skype and, make an appointment down the road for 10 for the next year, my client knows that. They see me, they make an appointment for a year later. All right, because they know that if not, they might not want to get in. So I need quick stuff because a client may call me up and say, Al, I want to make a special phone call. When is the best time to do it? Well, I got the right decision program that I can use it, or I can use their chart right here, and of course I can go into here and say, okay, chatter. That's what 3rd house making a phone call, right? Chatter, bang. And, if you use the right decision, which is a program that we have, it'll tell you the best day, but it'll tell you the best time. So many times I will use the right decision because the time is very important in astrology. But here, as a big picture, you can do an awful lot of good stuff with that. All right. And for instance, let's go a little beyond here and let's go back here. Let's go to the dynamic astrology. And I'm going to do multi-box here. What does that mean? That means that let's say me and Carol wants to travel and we want to go somewhere. We want to take a week off or a weekend off to go somewhere. And so I can go up there and I can say belief, right? That's 9th house. We know that. And I can add, a list of people and I should have Alfie and Carol right here. And I'm going to do that and say, okay, so I'll put it down here. So my chart, Carol's chart, and our Davidson chart. But I'm going to delete our Davidson chart. We'll take it out of there. All right. Now I can do, like I said, the beginning date and an ending date and say calculate. And there it's calculating me to travel. So when we look at this thing here, we know Carol is not a good time to travel. She should stay home. There's a little piece here where I'm good to travel. She's rather good. The darker the color, of course, the more the bad aspect, the more no. And the lighter the color, like here, well, maybe she could travel here. Here she's good. I'm not bad. But there's something here. It's called diagram only. But if I go here and say some activity right here, right, then it sums both things up. So it shows that roughly here would be the best time to travel and a little bit here. All right. The rest of them is not really good because what they do is we weigh everything out, and maybe here would be the best time right here to travel. And if I move the mouse up on top here, gives me a date. So from 12:15 to 12:17, 18, it would be a good time to travel. Now let's say we want to do a big party and we want to know when to do a party. All right, love is 5th house. That's partying. So we'll calculate that for me and Carol again. And there it is. We can do party a lot of time, but this would be the best time because it's right here. It's really dark green, and here it's dark green. There's a little piece of dark green, and that happens to be a weekend right here. So we could do it here, probably the best thing. So you could look at a whole family for something. You could look at one at a time. So again, this is a real nice situation, and to do something, to compare something. We have one more thing here that I got out of doing years and years and years of financial trader research, because we have 5 different pieces of trading software that we have it in 42 different countries and major banks all over the world, and they use our titanium to help them to predict the market. As a matter of fact, we won an award in Stock and Commodity magazine 2-3 years in a row. I didn't tell them we were using astrology because they wouldn't publish it. All right, they wouldn't let us take part in their research. So, you know, but anyway, I got a computer here for years that create models, and for all of this thing here, models for trading, for also love and all that. It works 24 hours a day. I write routine and say, check this out, give me a weight. And so I came up and we call it rating. And rating is like, well, Bill Stickever and a few other predicted that Trump was going to win the election, because rating is not something that focus on one area. Like the dynamic astrology, we can focus on love, we can focus on partners, we can focus on this, because it does only the ruler of those houses, planets, and those houses, and with transit. But this one over here, it does the whole thing. And so what we do with this is that you can see when you have the best energy, all around energy to do something for everything. All right. So it's nice to know sometimes to see, well, my life is going to stink because, something is going on. And or where it's going to be better. And this part right here, we use aspect to the natal chart, right? But it's got variable orb. Some has 1 degree orb, other planets has 10-degree orb. This one has 2 degrees, and we use what we call front and back aspect. In a sextile, 60 is the front aspect, the back is the 300, and we separate these two together. So it comes from, like I said, my financial traders. So let's see that we're going to start today, and we're going to do 40 days. All right, so I'm going to do 40 days. All right, and I'm going to open the models that I use here to do that. Rating. Okay, right here. And say okay. All right. And I'm going to put a chart. I can put a Lissa chart if I want to, because we do a Lissa chart when you trade and you have 10 different first straight chart. The day they started trading, you put them here, and then it tells you when to buy, when to sell. But I'm just going to put my chart here, and there it is. Put it up here, okay, and calculate. And it's going to calculate this whole thing here, and it's going to tell me when I'm in high energy, low energy. Like I said, I can't differentiate here between second house, fifth house. No, it's an overall energy that I have. So I'm going to bring this up so we can see it. Like this, all right? So we know that probably the best energy would be here. As you can see, when I get down December here, it's time for me to take a break because I want to be low energy. Here, again, the mean energy here, mean aspect, I'm above it, so I'm doing very well. Here, around Thanksgiving, I'm doing better. And here, it's sort of really like a little bit down. But again, we know that if I had to do a lot of stuff, I would plan to do it around here because my energy is high to my chart. All the aspects in the sky are all high to my chart. So that's another part that we can look at here into doing things. So as you can see, there is I'm going to cover all of this thing here, but now I'm just covering stuff that has something to do with predicting, looking at a chart, doing things. And of course, I did a whole thing on a time tunnel. It's on YouTube. You can look at it. But I'm going to cover all the stuff because this is a piece of software that I've been working on since 1980, and I keep updating it to how I can deal with my client. to where I can get answers and fast answers and looking at a lot of different things and come out with some answers because, you know, in astrology, I keep telling people, you know, if you're a psychologist, you need maybe 10 clients a week and you see 2 clients a day, you're making a good living. All right. And these clients, they may come for 3, 4 months to see you once a week. Well, us astrology, we're not that lucky. All right. A client comes and see us once a year, unless they have problems during the year. But they come in once a year. You give them a year update. You tell them what the potholes are, what a good time, what kind of energy you got month for month, day for day, and see where they're going. So you need a lot of client. And in order for you to really establish a good business, then client has to come back. If a client comes and see you, he never comes back, then whoa, you know. But if you see client and they keep coming back every year, you build up a business where, you know, you're seeing 3, 4 clients every day, and plus you got some that you do horary. My business client Monday, usually my business client, they drive me nuts because, you know, they sit all weekend thinking, oh well, how can we really mess up Alfie's brain on Monday? So Monday they all got questions. All right. During the week, they seem to be quiet, busy, but there comes the Monday, and they had a couple of days off. Oh my God, they drive me nuts. So, but I mean, so you need a program that can help you out with all of this, and this is the software that can do it for you. So check all. I have a lot of YouTube things on my software. Plus, I'm adding more right now.